Welcome to The Girl Herd,
where we talk Texas football.
and a bunch of takes you've probably already heard.
But not from us. And now we're back officially. It's April.
We made it through the rodeo, and now it's back full steam ahead for the Texas Longhorns.
Heck yeah.
And it's really crazy because I was looking at my calendar and I felt like the spring game was still like, it's the weekend after this one. Like, it doesn't feel that way. I think like the Easter holiday and just like springing into April, all of that. But it is super exciting. They released the schedule out today in terms of what all is going to be happening. And so, yeah, I mean, we're starting to turn that corner and season is getting close again.
You're right. Like when I saw the 150 days, it like still feels so far away. Even Rick was like, but not fast enough. And I was like, agree. But we had like March Madness tying us over. And then here we are, a couple weeks away from spring game, which feels wild.
I know, it also feels like we didn't skip a beat because obviously our text thread was still going on and on and on about everything that was happening with basketball, men's and women's and softball and baseball and all of the things. But we missed our little pod sessions.
I know.
I was thinking back to some of the things that we had talked about on shorts, and unfortunately, of course, women's basketball lost their Final Four game. And that was one of the things we had discussed, like which team is primed to win a natty first. And Angie, I think it was a question to you, and you said girls basketball. And so sadly, it didn't happen. But hopefully, softball, baseball, Frank called those out. He's like, softball, baseball, have a good shot. So I'm hoping for the softball repeat for sure. And it would be awesome to see what baseball could do.
I know, we went and watched that last game, and it just was so heartbreaking. I think that we've all kind of fallen in love with this team and who they are and what they represented, and just like the love even that they had for each other. So it was so hard to see them after crushing the tournament, right? Beating teams like 20, 30, 40 point, whatever it was. And then just they were off that night. They were shooting, I think, in the 30-something percentile, which is so impossible, but also speaks volumes to our defense and how they kept them contained, especially with a girl who was 6'7", right? Like it was still impressive, but sad that they couldn't pull it out. We were really rooting for our seniors, and so sad that Rory won't be with us next year. But
yeah, as much as like, I mean, we want a natty. We want, like, yes, we got softball last year. We were like, all right, it's time for girls. Like, hasn't happened since 1986. Let's go. This is the team. I mean, more so than that, I wanted it for this team and this specific team. And of course, Rory won't be there next year. Sarah, among others. So it was sad. And you felt like, yes, they were primed and ready to go. And they were showing us that they were on and playing their best basketball in this timeline, which is what everyone always says about any sport. Like, that's the biggest deal, is play your best during this time. And it's hard to get there. Like the number of games that they play and then getting all the way to the Final Four. And then I couldn't even watch.
People don't realize that. Like a single elimination tournament of that many games where you have to keep on winning, it is very tough. And so one thing I was thinking about last night, because we always discuss the football team and just the expectations and the new format, and honestly, the best you can ask of these programs is a Final Four. At that point, it becomes you're in that Final Four tournament. And yes, like obviously Texas has a standard, but just so proud of Coach Vic and the staff, the players. And I mean, they've made our school proud the past 2 years. Like, what schools can say that? And obviously we know what the ultimate goal is, and I think they'll eventually get there. We've got 3 All-American players that are coming in. Coach Vic, he's got an exciting program that he's put together. And so it just makes me ready to watch them again next year.
Devin, you're the only one in the group who has experience playing basketball. So I'm interested in your take on this, and if your dad or Megan said anything. But like, when your team like gets in that kind of a slump where you're not hitting, like how does it feel like for the team? It's almost like they just had an outer body experience, and like, how do you turn that around? Or is it even possible once you get to that stage of just brick after brick after brick and nothing going your way?
Yeah, I think we sort of like talked about something around, not the shooting specifically, but how mental the game of basketball can be. I know we talked about it with the aspects of volleyball, and I think we've touched on it with football. And if anyone watched the Connecticut game and paid attention to number 35, AZ Fudd, who is one of their stars, she was not hitting shots. And if you paid attention to that game, what it became was she would be open and she would not. She would just pass it off. And so in those moments, you can't do that. Like how Maddie kept shooting, that's what she did, what she was supposed to do. Like there is nothing you can do. We shot 21 more shots than UCLA. They just weren't going in. And at that point, like, what I was hoping for in those moments, like what you want is to be able to get transition baskets. We weren't able to do that against them. So that wasn't working at all. And so we kept on having to set up in our offensive set, which is what you don't want when you've got a 6'7" post player down in the middle. And so you're relying on these jump shots, or it just feels too big on the defense where you can't go and penetrate the basket or the paint. And that's really what happened to us. We rely on the press. We want to get those turnovers. And when they took Maddie out, if you notice, we started to inch back a little bit, and she felt good on the bench. She was cheering her team on. She was happy about what was going on, and we got a couple of turnovers. But it just wasn't enough. And I mean, UCLA never trailed in the Final Four tournament. There was just nothing that we were going to be able to do about them. And congrats to them and seeing them win. They obviously deserved it, and it sucks for us.
I know the whole time I was like, I just want a basket for Maddie. Like I want her for herself to have one, but she wasn't the only one. There were our baskets just weren't dropping. Like the balls were not dropping. It wasn't happening. And it was sad, but like, yeah, shout out to them. They realized the last time we beat them, it was mainly our defense, and they were like, we're going to play. And it was obviously a defensive game with a low scoring game. And then they went on, and what they did to South Carolina just shows what kind of, ramping up they were doing and how well they did. But it makes me also excited for this team and what's to come. Like, of course, I always feel this way. I said the same for football, like thinking about Taft and other seniors, like I wanted it for them. I wanted it for Rory here, but like it makes me excited for the program and where it's headed and who we still have for the next year.
My dad said what you said, by the way, Michelle. He was like, well, that game helped. The game against us helped them realize they need to get better at defense.
Yes.
And they did. And so it worked out for them. But I mean, what a time for Texas athletics. Like football, basketball, men's basketball in the way that they played, softball just winning the Natty, volleyball in the last couple of years. Like it's been a really exciting time. And I just honestly can't really ask much more of what we're doing as an athletic program as a whole.
Same. I was hearing something today, or maybe I read it. I don't remember where it was, but somebody, and you answered a short like this week, so it will come out, but about us being preseason number one again. And somebody's like, yeah, but now this year they like actually have the depth and the talent and all the things to back up that number one spot, which I think we've talked about is so exciting for us, because last year we were all like, ooh, I don't know.
It was a lot of hype around, give some of these guys time.
Yeah. And now I think that we're ready, and it's just so exciting what's coming out of spring ball. And our chat isn't even really playing, but I did hear a clip too of he did get in for a series, had a really good series for a 7-on-7, and found some holes in the defense. And immediately Muschamp was like, okay, I want to know what you saw. I want to know how you figured that out. Like, which again, I'm like, there are going to be benefits of him sitting out and watching some of these things from behind the scenes to help our offense. And I literally have goosebumps as we're talking about it. I think this season is going to be so exciting.
I read the same on the Inside Texas article that you were talking about. And I was like, Muschamp going to Arch and being like, what did you find? How did you find that hole? I was like, I love this.
Same.
That's hilarious. I mean, in terms of the number one thing, I do want to know how y'all feel about it, because it made me think of the Nebraska volleyball team. They're always number one, and they were this year. They were number one the whole entire season. And so they were asking the girls about it, and they were very I feel like I know what y'all are going to say, but it's one of those things where your athletic department's media team, they're sort of telling you what to say. And maybe it's one of those, we're going to give you guys the PR line. In our locker room, we know that we're some straight savages. And I hope that our team takes that on, because to your point, Angie, okay, they gave it to us last year. And I almost feel like not only were we giving the PR answer, but we didn't believe it in here.
Right.
And you need to be no, straight up, give me that number one. And by the way, no one's taking it away from me this time around, because last year I learned. And so I hope if that's what happens, if it doesn't happen, great. We won't have the target. If it does happen, even better. It's like we didn't want that target, and we spent a lot of time talking about that last year. And this year, I hope it's like, yeah, like cool, we're ready.
I almost feel like last year gave us that, like, there are things that you can say where you're like, don't, like, okay, fine, like, sure, do we think we are? Sure, but just like, don't talk about it, maybe, like, don't put the target on us or whatever, or all of it, again, because it's mental and all the things. But I almost think the majority of our guys are like, what does it even matter? Do it, because we're coming for it no matter what, and we dealt with all of the talk last year, so here we go.
And I feel like this team too just hits different, right? Like they're talking about like competing within their position, and the incoming freshmen are standing out and making an impression. So they're competing for more than just one role, right? And competing on both sides of the ball. And I think that they just have this different energy. And Sark even said too, there was a piece of last year that was the team was a little bit cliquey, and this team, from what we're reading and seeing, doesn't seem that way. Like everybody seems to really fit and gel into this culture that Sark is building, and the competitive nature, and from some of the coaches, and how high intensity, high energy, I think that's also showing in them, and how that they're showing up in practice, and their mentality for how they want to play is just, I feel like it's drastically different from last year.
Yeah, I think it all is a buildup from what Michelle said and us learning from last year. And like you said, what that's built up, Angie, in terms of who this roster is. And remember, as we're speaking, one of the things that I want to point out is how different the team is. Like we lost so many players to the point where during like the December and January period, we were like, this feels a little crazy. And then next thing you know, we just started getting everything we wanted from going down the line with the positions. And even recently, we're still getting offensive linemen on the team. And it's like, okay, now this feels right. And Seymour getting his clearance, things like that. I just feel everything that you all are saying, it seems like we have taken it up a notch. And I do believe there's something about hardship and losing and really just like not going to the playoff. I mean, that was like a slap in the face to a preseason number one. It was embarrassing. And I think that they probably will spend a bunch of time talking about that, but also be really level-headed about it, do the 1-0 thing, and put themselves in a really good position, because our schedule this year is not getting any easier.
I saw a tweet, I've actually seen a couple now, but of someone saying like, I mean, after the Final Four situation, but not to go back there, but just saying it in the sense of like Arch and Madison Booker both have that same drive now. Like this is fuel. Like we didn't get there this time, but you better believe that's going to fuel me in the off season and into next year. And I like felt it in my soul where I was like, dang right. Like that's what I believe too. Like,
yeah. That's funny that you brought it back there, because in my head, I was also taking it back to Rory sticking up for her in that press conference and talking about, and Devin, you said this too, of like the mental part of the game. And it really is. And I think that this team that we have and the unique players we have are going to be that for each other. They're going to stick up for one another. I saw something else too, like there was a freshman or somebody younger and getting a rep, and it was not the best one. And one of our vets was like, look, we're not going to keep doing that. You need to fix it. But like, I'm going to pat you on the helmet and we're going to figure this out together. And that's the type of like championship energy I feel like we need to continue, right? Like we don't just want one. Like I feel like the energy now is like, are we about to have a dynasty, or are we about to go on a run here? Like, are we going to be the next Bama? I don't know. But it seems like we really are filling in that depth of what we need to continue to excel year after year.
Yeah. And when you speak about how badly, like Arch and Maddie, I don't think like, unless you're someone who has played, this is Arch's last year. So if he doesn't do it this year, this is his, and wow, like I'm actually verbalizing this for the first time. And I don't know what he thinks or cares about any of these things, but this is his legacy on the line. His college football legacy, it's this year. So you literally didn't even get to play into the postseason this past year. You've got one more to go. And with Maddie going to a Final Four, being in these big national televised games, and you see the star players rise to the occasion and they're writing their story. I mean, I just know it was crushing for her to have like the KD package. And then the game she had, it's like, that's like the last thing anyone wants. And so it's like a bad taste in your mouth. And it's one of those things where she'll be thinking about that game for the rest of her life. So yes, the redemption tour is on at Texas, and I, for one, am here for it.
Same. Cannot wait.
And we've kept talking about, like, you know, Angie mentioned that each player is like fighting for their spot. We've talked about this so many times. Devin, I know you've mentioned this even recently as well. And it's just like everything you read, every article, I know I've said too, like the amount of names that they're saying and how these scrimmages are going, like you're just like, okay, like there's even players that we didn't even know about that you're like, heck yeah, rise, let's do this. Like the depth that we have and how they're each fighting and yeah, like egging each other on and everything is exactly where we want to be, and how we've talked about that was like in our era as well. So
yeah. And we talked about too, like we honed on this, I feel like last season, of what it meant to wear Texas on your chest. Yeah. And I feel like we're finally back getting to that place where they understand and they get it. And I think, I mean, Muschamp and I mean, Blake just even being back in the building, he was part of that era, and he's back interjecting that and that tradition back into the locker room.
Yeah. I know, like here watching, if y'all haven't watched, you know, Muschamp's show on Texas and O's, it was fun to watch, and how he also talks about Gideon and he talks about Sark and all the things. And it was cool hearing about it all, and how he's like, yeah, Gideon has something in him. That's why I've kept him around everywhere I've gone. And he was like, he didn't come back here necessarily because of me or because whatever. He was like, he came back here because he knows what he did under Sark, and he's back to do it again. And I was like, I just love hearing this.
Yeah, but I love that you said that, Angie, because again, that really threads it through when there is someone who was there on the level of like, no, like this is not going to cut it. You need to raise up to this level. And you've got Blake and you've got Muschamp and you've got other people on the staff now who were there from that era too. It's like no more nonchalant behavior when it comes to the burnt orange, and they can support what Sark is doing and back him up in his goals. And it just puts our program in a really good, strong place. And like I mentioned, we're going to need it going into Death Valley. We're going to need it trying to avenge Ohio State and even Florida, which sounds so annoying to say we have to avenge. We lost to them. So definitely they're on our radar. And yeah, just all of 2026.
I find it interesting. I heard something the other day, because we've talked about this whole nonchalant theme that's been relevant. And now there's like, people are saying of that generation, the younger generation, they want chalant dating. Like they're like, we're over the nonchalant. We want chalant. And I was like, yes, we want chalant in all realms. Like even in our college football team, we want them to care. And they just do, which is so exciting. And Devin, you said something else that I was going to talk about, but now my 80-day brain just...
It's okay. I mean, I think the chalant thing is funny because it's very true. And I don't know where we got off. I think maybe something about the social media world where it's like, it became like the cool thing to like not care and like look too cool for school. And we all just like can't afford that anymore. Like we quite literally actually can't afford it, but like you should be passionate. Like who got off thinking like, oh, I'm not going to share like what I think is cool. And I think you're right. Like something about younger kids and the program and where it went, it probably is all connected, but I'm happy that chalant dating is a trend. Maybe we can all be chalant now. Nonchalant is out.
Yeah, I mean, being passionate, we want that. And that's what I was thinking about, even like when you were talking about preseason number 1 and you were talking about how, yes, what it means to wear the burnt orange. And like that, to me, that was all connected. And that was what my head was thinking of. Like we had the target on our backs last year, but like, then again, let's be honest, we always have the target on our backs because we're Texas. And these guys, I feel now, understand that and feel that. And maybe it's what happened last season. Maybe it's the season before. I don't know, but
well, yeah, and remember, the end of the season was amazing for us. Like, I was just reliving with my parents coming to the game in Austin and being so proud that all the students came back from holiday break after, knowing, okay, the game was borderline with us going into the playoff and we eventually like didn't land, but just the whole stadium rocking together, singing "We Ready." Like we ended on such a high note with that game and took down A&M, our rival, who was also very high, and they went and played in the playoffs and all of that. And then we did a great job with our bowl game too against another blue blood. And it's like, we got it together. We just did it too late. And so seeing that and knowing where the team's head was at that point, to me, with our new roster adds and just the goals and like where we want to go, I think it should be even better, which is exciting.
Which is why we also should have gone to the playoffs. We were playing our best ball.
Michelle's like, don't get me started on this rant. Don't get me started again.
Another year of a new committee doing a new thing, and watch, just because it's going to be always ironic for us. They're going to let some 3-loss team in this year. It won't be us because we ain't taking any L's, but it's going to be some team that they let in. Watch, it's A&M. It's going to be something like that happens. I'm calling it now.
I do think it's interesting. The other thing that I now caught the little thought bubble, what I was going to say earlier, but Coach Dub was actually talking about what he's been hearing about Ohio State and their spring ball is very similar to what is being said about us. So I think that game is just going to be on a crazy, crazy level. But the perks for us, like we did not show up that well at Ohio State. Like we played okay, but now that we have all this experience under our belt and what we've been seeing from spring ball and all of the people that are getting reps with spring and so early, I think is unique too, because I feel like we used to always say too, like, oh gosh, so-and-so like hasn't had reps. He hasn't come in. We even saw it last year with Malik Muhammad and some of those key DBs getting hurt. And then our second ups were like, whoa, like a little deer in the headlights. And I just feel like that's not the case anymore, that they're kind of preparing a little bit more to be covered on all fronts.
And we're welcoming, I can't talk. They're coming to our house, whatever I'm trying to say.
Yeah, they're coming down. It's going to be hot. I mean, we hate that, but we love that because they're going to hate it more than we hate it. So it's about to be super hot. It was really nice being at their game, except for us losing, but the weather was amazing. We were looking all cute and not all sweaty. But back to what you were saying, Michelle, wanting a game back, I say our QB room is better than theirs. I want to see Arch really put his best up against Julian Sayin. He didn't get to do it. And it was like a big talk leading into that game with those two threats and how they are at their role. And Arch didn't really get to show out. So I'm so excited because I do believe he's better. And you could look at the stats from Julian for the rest of the year, and he was really game managing them along the way. And so this time, let's put him back. Let's put everyone back out there. And I'm just excited that we get another opportunity.
And Caleb Downs is gone.
Yeah. Also that I have no idea up to down. I mean, I know they've got Jeremiah Smith still, of course, but like roster wise, I'm curious there too, because I'm not sure top to bottom, but I do think we're probably going to be a little deeper. They're deep every year, but I think we should be a little deeper this year. I'll have to take a look. I'm not sure.
I mean, that's starting off the season, y'all. The end of our season is a lot too. Here we go.
Ready.
Less than 150 days out, 2 weeks from spring ball.
Which is insane. How did we get here so fast?
How? Happy April.
Yeah. Yeah, we can't wait.
Yay!